If Superman joined the Invincible universe, the entire story would turn upside down. Everything we know about the balance of power, about Earth's defenses, about Omni-Man's mission, all of it would play out completely differently. Let's begin. This time, before Omni-Man ever comes to Earth, Superman would already be living there. Just like in most versions of his story, Superman would have been sent to Earth as a baby, raised by the Kent family, and growing stronger each year as he learned who he was and what he could do. By the time Omni-Man arrives, Superman would already be around 10 years old, slowly discovering his powers, learning control, and forming his early sense of morality. Fast forward to the point where Mark Grayson becomes invincible. Mark is around 17 to 20 years old depending on the timeline, and most versions of Superman we see in comics and movies are between 20 and 30 years old. So, for this scenario, we will use that scale. When Omni-Man arrived, Superman was still a kid, but by the time Mark gets his powers, Superman would be a fully grown hero. Omni-Man's strategy on Earth originally depended on slow infiltration. He pretended to be a protector, a loving father, and a heroic member of the Guardians of the Globe. He played the long game so the Viltrum Empire could take over humanity as easily as possible. But this time, things wouldn't be so simple. Because if Omni-Man ever wanted to eliminate the superheroes of Earth like he did in the original story, he would have to kill Superman as well. And that single fact changes the entire Invincible universe. Superman would almost certainly become allies with Cecil, the Guardians, and every major hero on the planet. He would be the foundation of Earth's defense, the one hero that the Viltrum Empire would see as a real threat. Omni-Man killing the team becomes basically impossible as long as Superman is alive. And here's the biggest issue for Omni-Man. Even the average version of Superman is stronger than most Viltrumites. He has far more raw power and far more versatility. Heat vision, freeze breath, limitless stamina, insane healing, and near-infinite strength. The only Viltrumite who could realistically challenge him would be Thrag, who is in his own league above every other Viltrumite. Omni-Man is powerful, but he's not suicidal, and he's not stupid. He studies his targets carefully, and in this scenario, he would understand extremely early that fighting Superman could cost him everything, including his life and the future of his mission. So, instead of killing the Guardians, Omni-Man would develop a new plan. He would still try to convince Mark to join him, but he would do it in a much more careful, subtle, and quiet way. No giant explosions, no destroyed cities, no half-dead Mark, just pressure, manipulation, and emotional control. But Mark would refuse once again, and this time Omni-Man wouldn't attack. He would know that if he raises even one hand against Earth, Superman will appear instantly. So he would leave the planet quietly and report everything to Thrag. He would explain that Earth is protected by a being who is completely outside the power scale of normal Viltrumites. Someone who might even rival Thrag himself. This changes the Viltrum Empire's strategy completely. Instead of a casual takeover, Earth becomes a high-risk target, one that requires their greatest soldiers. Omni-Man knows he isn't strong enough for the job, so he would likely search the galaxy for possible allies. One of the most dangerous candidates would be Battle Beast. Battle Beast lives for fighting the strongest warriors in the universe, and in his eyes, Superman is the perfect opponent. Omni-Man recruiting him is not impossible. In fact, it's very logical in this scenario, which brings us to the moment everything collapses. The Earth versus Viltrumite war. No matter how things play out, one battle becomes unavoidable. Thrag versus Superman. Thrag cannot conquer Earth without defeating its strongest protector. Superman cannot allow the Viltrum Empire to destroy worlds and enslave civilizations. Both sides know the other must be stopped for good. This fight would decide the fate of Earth and possibly the entire galaxy. Thrag brings pure physical strength, centuries of experience, brutal fighting technique, and unmatched durability. Superman brings overwhelming power, speed, heat vision, tactical intelligence, and his ability to grow stronger under the sun. If the war starts, these two will meet. There is no avoiding it. The question is simple. Who wins? Superman, the symbol of hope, or Thrag, the most powerful Viltrumite in history? Let me know what you think. Also, leave a subscribe if you want more what-if videos like this one.